House of the Dragon's second episode seems in many ways to be yet another episode setting the table for what's to come in the remaining 6 episodes of this season. This is only an 8-episode season, unlike season 1, which is 10 episodes. And that was not the choice of the creators of the show, but rather HBO trying to save some money. Not sure that was a wise decision, because I think 10 episodes is a really good length for Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and really any... I know that the new Night of the Seven Kingdoms is only going to be 6 episodes, but at least that's based on a very short novella. Novellas, but I'm assuming multiple seasons for multiple novellas, so you don't want to extend it too long either. So episode 2 really is a lot of sort of like, okay, well, this is what happened. You know, the Prince Jaehaerys was killed, and now everyone's reacting, right? Aegon is super, super mad. He's so mad, he wants to, get revenge right away. Otto, counsels a little bit more caution, says, let's use the prince's body, let's put it on display throughout the streets of King's Landing and earn the sympathy of the small folk. Let's get the lords and the small folk pissed at Rhaenyra. Let's make sure they know that she was the one behind this, even though she wasn't. He's, using his propaganda and his manipulative tendencies to use everything to their advantage. This is all foiled when Aegon then has all the rat catchers hung, even though all of them but one, were innocent. And that immediately, of course, sours the pot. He's no longer going to be viewed as the victim, but now an aggressor towards his own people. And unfortunately, we did not see all the cats being added to the keep, where the cats replace the cats replace the rat catchers at this point. Cats generally not to be trusted. Cats are definitely evil, but, at least they probably won't go behead your son while he sleeps. Rhaenyra is pissed at Daemon because he's so obviously behind the assassination. In their little meeting, he looks guilty. Everyone knows. Rhaenys and Rhaenyra immediately know. Rhaenyra and Daemon have a big fight. This is the first in a crumbling of their unity, of their relationship. The first sort of break happens at this point, and he goes off to Harrenhal to raise armies and get ready for the war, which is coming now for sure. There's no getting around it now. We see a little bit more of Alan of Hull as well as his brother Adam. Obviously, we don't get a lot of them yet, but they are important characters. I'm not going to spoil that, but they are important characters in George R.R. Martin's book, Fire and Blood. And same with Hugh Hammer. We see him, he's the blacksmith, his daughter's sick. They're impoverished, they can't afford to help her. And Aegon promised money, but none of it has come, so you can start to see where he's going to have some motivation to not really like Aegon. Also an important character. I'm not going to spoil why. But these are all characters that they're sort of introducing and building up for the future. The main stuff is all about Eric and Eric. 2 men who have a very, very similar but awesome name. The Cargyll brothers, Cargyll, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, named by sadistic parents who decided it'd be cool to name their twins who you can't tell apart, by looking at a name that is phonetically exactly the same. No, they couldn't name them like Eric and Bertrand. That would be too easy. So anyways, Criston Cole, the Lord Commander, he has now been made the hand of the king as well, because when Otto gets really mad at Aegon for all the stupid crap he's done, he gets ousted as the hand and ends up hightailing it back to Old Town. Meanwhile, now Criston Cole is now in charge of everything, and he has sent Eric with an A to Dragonstone to pretend to be Eric with an E and get close enough to Rhaenyra to then kill her. Something that he is not comfortable with, but he's, doing his duty. He has to follow his orders. As you can tell, since he didn't go off to be one of Rhaenyra's Queen's Guard, he feels very bound and duty-bound and oath-bound to serve the King's Guard. So he heads over to Dragonstone, and in the end, there's a huge fight between him and his brother. The 2 of them fight to the death. And it's a crazy fight. It's a really great fight scene. It's very exciting. It's crazy also because so much is going on. It's really hard to tell who is who for both us, the viewers, but also for characters in the show itself. Well, another Queen's Guard says that. I can't tell them apart, and that's actually kind of great. It's amazing that they got such talented actors who are also identical twins to play identical twins on the show, and they did a great job. In the end, one of them survives, and I think it's a little bit up for debate who. I know that the showrunner actually clarified, but personally, I kind of like the idea that it was the Eric with an A who then begs the Queen's forgiveness and falls on his sword, so distraught at his brother's death and the fact that he brought that on him and and attempted to assassinate Rhaenyra, who, in a way that's very unknightly. That's not how knights operate. They don't go sneaking in all cloak and dagger. Like, this guy's supposed to be a paladin, man. He's lawful good. They're both lawful good, and it was sad. I'm bummed out because these were great characters, and it's sad that they're dead. Of course, I knew it was coming, though I didn't think it would happen this early on in the season. And I think that these two episodes, both having twins die, not both twins in the first episode, but 3 twins have now died. I think that's a pretty strong indicator that many more twins will die. No, that many more people, we're going to see a lot of other characters' deaths this season. And I don't know, I know who dies in this show because I've read the book, but I don't know when. Will it be this season? Will it be next season? How long are we going to hold out? This is going to be a brutal show, though. Spoiler alert, a lot of people die. It's more brutal, or at least a more condensed, brutal timeline than Game of Thrones, where you have quite a few of the characters that you love survive all the way till the end. And unfortunately, many of the characters in Game of Thrones, the TV show, their characters were assassinated from a story perspective, like Tyrion, who lost everything that made him cool, but they survive and live until the show is over. That's one area. I think the one criticism of House of the Dragon that I've had since the beginning, since season 1 and into season 2, is there's just not, you don't care about the characters as much. Like it's, even characters that you generally like Rhaenyra or Jace, Aemond and Daemon are both really interesting characters that you like to see them do stuff. They're very compelling figures, but you don't really like them necessarily, right? And that kind of goes for almost every character in the show. There's just not, and the fact that they didn't bring Mushroom in from the books means that there's really no comic relief either. This is not a funny show at all, but Game of Thrones was very funny. Tyrion was very funny. Often Jaime or the Hound. There's a lot of comic relief throughout that show. And comic relief, I think, is really important because it's part of what makes us care about characters. We like funny characters. We like it when they're, we like sexy characters. We like funny characters. We like flawed characters. But we like that sort of hodgepodge of personality traits that make us really root for people, like Arya Stark or Jon Snow or Robb Stark or Tyrion Lannister or Brienne of Tarth or, there's Sam Tarly. There's just a long, long list of characters who we really like and care about in Game of Thrones. Whereas in House of the Dragon, it's kind of like, well, even the ones we like, we don't really like them that much. And that's fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just a different kind of show. It's much more tragic. It's much more Shakespearean. It's much more kind of like everyone's very shades of gray. Like, people said that about Game of Thrones, but it wasn't really that true. We had a lot of very heroic characters. It was a very heroic fantasy, even though it was a little bit more like grimdark leaning, right? Whereas this is just genuinely grimdark. Very grim, very dark. Most people, very gray, very unlikable. And very willing to do terrible things to get revenge or to get what they want. All of this over a stupid crown of stupid, succession. It's a succession drama. Speaking of shows where you don't really like anybody, Succession, another great HBO show where people are, hoping to take over the dynasty, but are terrible and you mostly hate them all. Although, again, another absolutely phenomenal show. If you haven't watched Succession, definitely watch it. So, yeah, that's my take on episode 2. It, again, it's slow. It's setting the table for what's to come, it's setting the board. The pieces are all getting lined up. The war is about to get here. I love that shit. I don't mind that it's slow. I can see how other people might find it a little like dragging, a little boring, whatever. But personally, it's just all good, medieval, gritty, mushy goodness. I can just eat that shit up. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Hit all that shit. And thanks for watching. Peace.